They were 3. They didn't get eternal rest. They got Mommy's Gone and the back seat of a rented car that smelled like funeral flowers. Right before we dive in, tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Let's check which parts of the world are with us today. Thanks. And now the story. The cemetery cleared out fast. People said things they didn't mean. Call me anytime. She was so strong. You're not alone. And left before their umbrellas flipped inside out. I didn't cry. Couldn't. Not while holding 2 kids who still believed hugs could fix things. We were staying at Lauren's parents' house, Richard and Margaret's place in Lancaster, Ohio. That's where the twins had their beds, their stuffed bears, the cereal Lauren used to buy on sale. We'd been there for months. When we pulled up, I noticed the new lock right away. Brass, shiny, like it was proud of itself. I'd replaced the old one myself in July when it jammed. This wasn't it. Still, I tried the key. Nothing. I knocked once. Then again, harder. My sleeve dripped onto the welcome mat. The porch light clicked on like it wanted a better look. Margaret opened the door on a chain I'd never seen in my life. Her face was powdered, lipstick fresh, like she'd had somewhere better to be. Tiffany needs the front rooms for her bridal studio, she said, like I'd interrupted a business call. Tiffany, Lauren's younger sister, a woman with a $1,000 smile and a $2 conscience. I stared at Margaret. We just buried Lauren. Today, Richard stepped in behind her. Adrian, you're 30. You'll figure it out. We're done bleeding cash. Then the door shut on my wife's funeral day. Ben said, Daddy, you forgot the key. Nora started crying. My phone was dead, naturally. I'd spent all morning fielding condolences, juggling toddlers, and trying to keep Nora from climbing onto a headstone marked Gwendolyn. We sat in the back seat of my 10-year-old sedan, windows fogging up, Nora sobbing so hard her shoulders shook. I could feel water squishing in my socks. Then I saw Tiffany pull up. Big SUV, garment rack hanging out the back, some music I didn't recognize blaring from the speakers. She waved her phone at the door. Richard opened it in seconds. No chain this time. She got a hug. I turned the ignition. Drove straight to the diner off Route 62. Lauren and I used to split pie there on Tuesdays. Cheap night, but we liked the way Donna always gave us extra whipped cream. She was still working. She saw us and didn't ask questions. Sit, she said, and brought the twins warm milk without a word. Coffee for me. When I told her what happened, she muttered something ugly and disappeared into the back. The manager, Tom, a quiet guy with a limp, came out 5 minutes later with a motel voucher and said, Don't argue. Donna slipped $80 into my palm when we left. Groceries. Don't be proud. That night, in a room that smelled like broken AC and someone else's cologne, I put the twins down between hotel pillows and stared at Lauren's photo until the street light blinked out. I whispered, I'm not rolling over. She might have been gone, but I was still here. And nobody, not Richard, not Margaret, not Tiffany, was going to decide who my kids were. Morning started with 2 toddlers wrapped around each other like puppies and a motel coffee maker that hissed like it had personal beef with me. I peeled myself out of the scratchy sheets and plugged in my phone. 1% battery. Felt about right. I propped it against the lamp and watched the red bar crawl while the kids kicked each other in their sleep. I made a list while the water sputtered and spit. First thing on it, lawyer. I called a guy a buddy from my old firm recommended. The guy picked up on the second ring, asked a few quick questions, then said, Meet me at 10. Bring anything with your name on that address. On the way, I made a detour. Couldn't help myself. Drove past the house. Our house, even if the deed didn't agree. There was a delivery van out front. 2 guys in polos were hauling in boxes stamped TIFF Bridal, like it was a damn grand opening. Tiffany stood on the porch in heels, holding a clipboard like she was managing a storefront. She waved at me, actually waved, like we were friendly neighbors. I didn't wave back. At the law office, I dumped everything I could find with my name on it onto his desk. Mail, my driver's license, Ben's preschool registration, a half-crumpled cable bill, even a grocery store rewards flyer that got sent to the house. I said, "They locked us out the day we buried my wife." He just looked at me and said, "They changed the locks that day?" I nodded. That was all I had in me. He nodded back, calm like a surgeon, and said we'd get a civil standby. I'd be allowed to re-enter the home and remove personal belongings without harassment. He threw out terms like constructive eviction and implied tenancy. All I heard was they couldn't do what they did, not legally, not with 2 toddlers involved. But here's the part I hadn't said to anyone, not even Donna. The house wasn't mine, wasn't Lauren's either. Richard and Margaret owned the house, but still carried a small mortgage. We'd moved in at 27 when the twins showed up 10 weeks early, and our savings went to an ambulance ride and a NICU stay. The deal was handshake simple. Help cover their mortgage, keep the place maintained, save for our own home in a few years. I paid the electric, the gas, internet, trash pickup, groceries, and half the monthly mortgage through Zelle. I mowed the lawn, fixed the leaky fridge, repaired the basement steps, and when Lauren got sick, every bit of our savings turned into copays, prescriptions, medical equipment, and Uber rides to the cancer center on days she couldn't stand upright. They still called it rescuing us. By noon, a patrol car rolled up slow and quiet to the curb outside the house. The officer was polite but firm, the kind you could tell was used to keeping things calm without taking sides. He explained the law, said I had the right to enter and collect my property, and told Margaret to keep it civil. Margaret didn't argue, but her mouth tightened so hard it looked painful. Inside, it was like a wedding magazine exploded. Rosy beige walls, used to be blue-gray, Lauren's favorite. White curtains where we'd had blackout panels for naps. Silk peonies in vases. Mirrors leaned against every flat surface. It didn't feel like a home. It felt like a showroom with no soul. Our room, what used to be our room, was gone. Ben's dinosaur sheets were stuffed into a black trash bag outside the bathroom. "This is disruptive," Tiffany said, arms crossed like I'd shown up with a wrecking ball. "You're using a grieving mother's room to sell chiffon," I shot back. She blinked but didn't flinch, like I was just noise now. I went straight to boxing the real stuff, the things the twins would remember, Lauren's sketchbooks, our family photo albums, crayon drawings taped to the side of the old dresser, Ben's favorite bedtime book with a ripped spine, Nora's stuffed hippo with one eye missing. Richard hovered in the hallway, muttering under his breath about carrying you people for years. I kept my mouth shut. The cop was still in the living room. I wasn't about to blow my chance at a clean exit. In the closet, I found Lauren's laptop. Almost missed it. It was tucked behind a stack of bridal catalogs like an afterthought. The cord was still wrapped neatly like she'd meant to open it again. Back at the motel, once the kids were asleep, I cracked it open. The desktop was a mess of files, but one folder stood out. LSH. My stomach twisted. Inside were notes, diagrams, vendor intake forms, a rough logo with a tagline she must have written at 3 a.m. Laura Safe Home, real work. Fair people. She'd been building something. A place where homeowners, contractors, and designers could connect without getting fleeced. Where you could see photos, reviews, prices, no slick sales talk, just real info. She used to say it all the time, like a mantra. People get ripped off because they don't know who to trust. Turns out, while I was worried about zoning setbacks and city permits, she was sketching something better, something smarter, something people actually needed. Every margin had notes in her handwriting. Don't overbuild this. Let people rate bad jobs. If they screw someone, take them off. No warnings. I sat there at the desk with the twins snoring behind me and read until my eyes burned. I could hear her voice like she was still next to me. Keep it simple. Make it honest. She didn't get to finish it, but I could. I sat at the chipped desk in the motel for 2 more hours, flipping through Lauren's folder, memorizing her notes like a script. The next morning, Donna showed up again, this time with a list of apartments. I made some calls. No deposits, month to month. You'll have to stretch. She patted my arm. But it's clean. 2 bedrooms. Close to a bus line, I signed the lease that afternoon. We moved in with 5 boxes and a basket of groceries. The twins picked the room with the corner window and claimed it like royalty. 3 days later, I booked the community room downstairs. It smelled like lemon cleaner and retirement, and the folding chairs were every shade of beige. But it had a TV with an HDMI port, and that's all I needed. I brought Lauren's laptop and a backpack full of loose paper. There were 12 people, maybe 13 if you count the lady napping in the corner with her dog in her lap. Most of them I'd seen in the parking lot. Retirees, a nurse with dark circles under her eyes, a handyman with a sling on his arm, and a couple of guys who looked like they'd been laid off more than once. I stood in front of them, cleared my throat, and said, "I need help making Lauren's idea real." I clicked into her wireframes and mirrored the screen to the TV. The layout was rough, boxes, labels, placeholder text, but the idea was sharp. Laura Safe Home, LSH for short. It's a site that connects homeowners and trades without the middleman bull. No pay-to-play ads, no spam leads, no shady fees. You search by zip code, get real verified professionals, upfront pricing snapshots, job photos, and phone numbers. And if someone screws up, they're off. No second chances, they stared, blank at first. Then Cal, the handyman with the busted shoulder, scratched his beard and said, "My cousin knows plumbers who'd kill for steady work without paying some lead mill." The night nurse, Shannon, leaned forward. "My aunt paid $3,000 for a deck last spring." The guy skipped town halfway through. "This would have saved her," she said. I nodded. That's the point. Honest work. No fluff. No crooks. Someone passed around a chipped ceramic bowl. Someone else's idea, not mine, and folks started dropping in what they could. Crumpled bills, singles, a few 20s, a Subway gift card, a roll of quarters from the lady with the dog. She apologized 3 times. By the end of the hour, we had $8,420 and a list of names. Welders, drywall guys, painters, 2 electricians, and 1 landscaping crew who do odd jobs if they could stop chasing shady leads. I walked back upstairs shaking, not from nerves, but because for the first time in months, I had something real in my hands. The next morning, I called my old firm. I told them I was looking for freelance permit work. Something small. My old boss, Gary, said, "Take your time, Adrian. Glad to hear your voice." Then he sent over a contract that shaved my rate by 30%. I signed anyway. Pride is nice until the kids need new shoes, and you've got half a tank of gas to your name. That night, after I fed the twins microwave mac and cheese and got them to bed, I took a chunk of our emergency money, what was left after diapers, rent, and Donna's $80, and wired half of it to a tiny dev shop out of Dayton. 3 guys, 2 laptops. They built small tools for local businesses. I didn't want fancy, I wanted honest. I said, "Keep it simple. No flashy templates, just working code and clean forms." They asked what to call it. I said, "Laura Safe Home." They didn't ask who Laura was. I slapped Lauren's initials in the footer and never explained it. A week later, Tiffany posted a photo on Instagram. "Tiff Bridal Grand Opening." Tagged with our old address, standing in the same room where we used to read bedtime stories to Ben and Nora. She'd hung gold curtains. The caption said, "Started from nothing." Now look, I didn't respond. I bookmarked it. 2 weeks in, the devs sent me a demo link. It was ugly, clunky, looked like a classified ad got married to a spreadsheet, but it worked. You could enter a zip code, see 3 verified pros, read reviews, message them directly, and book. No logins, no upsells. That night, Cal knocked on our apartment door and handed me a slip of paper. "Got someone for you. Name's Ray. Carves wood like butter. Burned through 3 GCs who forgot to pay him." I met Ray at the diner the next morning. He ordered eggs and didn't look up much. Said, "If this keeps my calendar full and I don't gotta chase checks, I'm in." I built a basic intake form for pros, manually called every reference after the twins went down, and drove to job sites during naps to take before and after photos. My car smelled like juice boxes and drywall dust. Within a month, we had 18 trades signed up, 7 jobs posted, 4 completed, and not one person got burned. That was the first time I felt like I wasn't just surviving. I was building something Lauren had started, and maybe, just maybe, something the twins could point to one day and say, "That's ours." The platform was clunky but alive. Ray had 3 jobs in the pipeline. Cal had signed on 3 more trades, and I finally felt like the wheels were starting to grip the road. That's when the call came. Blocked number. I should have ignored it, but I picked up out of habit. "Adrian, it's Richard." His voice was too calm, too measured. "We've reviewed the numbers. You owe us 4 months back rent." I laughed, short and mean. "We paid half your mortgage, bought your groceries, fixed your toilet twice, and paid for every gutter you ignored since April." "Paper, Adrian," he said like he was delivering a sermon. "Paper says it's our house." Then came Margaret's voice in the background, loud enough for me to hear but soft enough to pretend it wasn't intentional. "We have Tiffany's client experience to think about." His presence was bad energy. "The studio needs peace." "I have a lawyer now," I said, cutting through them both. Margaret actually laughed. "Oh, Adrian, that's adorable." "What's next? A restraining order?" I hung up. 2 days later, a guy in khakis and a shirt with buttons shinier than my car tires knocked on my apartment door. He introduced himself as a family resolution consultant. Said he had a document for me to sign. Just a simple release. You agree to never claim any legal interest in the property, and in exchange, they gift you $1,000. A gesture of goodwill. Really? I stared at him long enough that even he started shifting on his heels. "My wife died in that house," I said, voice low. "My kids slept in those rooms." "I understand emotions are high," he said, holding out the pen. I closed the door. Didn't slam it, just shut it firm enough to send a message without waking Ben and Nora from their naps. I opened my phone, pulled up Tiffany's Instagram again. More photos, soft lighting, silk curtains, champagne flutes on a table where Lauren and I used to fold laundry. I typed out 3 different responses. Deleted them all. Then I snapped a photo of Ben and Nora's new room. Bunk beds, a shelf of Lauren's sketchbooks, that same stuffed hippo. I captioned it, "They're fine." Then I hit send and didn't look back. 2 nights later, I met the dev team in person. We picked a cheap coffee place near the bus station with wobbly chairs and a chalkboard menu where the E was backwards. The lead guy, Jamal, had a flip notebook and a cracked screen on his laptop. We mapped out the next version of the platform and locked in a timeline, 11 weeks to launch. That same week, a woman from church named Margot pulled me aside after service. Mid-40s, wore reading glasses on a beaded chain, ran books for a few small businesses. "I heard you're doing something new. I can help set up the paperwork so you don't mix business and personal. Trust me, you'll thank me when taxes hit." She offered to file the LLC herself, just asked me to cover the state fees. I said yes before she finished her sentence. We called it LSH Connect, LLC. The paperwork went through in 4 days. A day later, Gary, my old boss, called again. This time, casual, friendly, too friendly. "Just checking in. Sounds like you've got something cooking." He asked if I was open to coming back full-time. Said he could swing me a decent salary. Said I'd have to let the side project go if you want to focus. "You're a dad now, Adrian. Be practical." "I am," I said. "Exactly." Then I hung up. That night, I got a voicemail from Margaret. "Adrian," she said, all syrup and smoke, "our money saved your family when Lauren got sick. I think it's time you showed a little gratitude." I sat in the dark with Lauren's laptop on my knees and replayed the voicemail twice. Then I opened the folder labeled LSH and reread her margin notes. The last page had a line I'd never noticed before. "Keep it simple. Keep it true." Gratitude didn't mean groveling. It meant finishing what she started. So I got to work. I rewrote the homepage copy myself. Lauren had sketched a rough tagline, real work, fair people, and I kept it. I added a submission form for homeowners and a verification process for pros. I pulled late nights sitting on the floor with my back against the door, twins asleep on the couch, clicking through databases to cross-reference licenses. Tiffany kept posting. One photo had a rack of gowns lined up in front of the fireplace where we'd once hung Christmas stockings. Another showed a spiral-bound branding plan open on the kitchen table. She used our old zip code as her location tag. I didn't reply. I just added her account to a folder titled Documentation, Future Reference. The only thing I needed from them now was to stay out of my way. And the only thing I owed Lauren was to keep this thing upright. Launch day wasn't fireworks. It wasn't confetti. It was a Tuesday morning in sweatpants with cereal stuck to my shirt, and a toddler screaming because her sock was wrong. We didn't do a balloon drop. We didn't even have a website banner. What we did have was a clean link, a working product, and Ray standing in front of a half-built porch saying, "Finally getting paid on time? Tell your cousin." I posted it on the local neighborhood board with one line, "Real work. Fair people. LSH is live." That first day, 117 users signed up, mostly homeowners, a few pros. By the end of the week, we had 1,940 accounts, and my phone couldn't stop buzzing. The thing would light up at midnight, 2 a.m., again at 4 a.m. I'd put it in the bathroom just to get sleep and still wake up to Nora poking my face saying, "Daddy, your phone is dancing again." I spent the next 2 weeks doing support from the living room floor. Kids shows humming in the background, one headphone in. Nora asking if she could help Daddy with houses. I let her click the submit button on the good reviews. She took it seriously. We built a basic rating system. 3 straight good jobs and you got a trusted badge. Screw up once, lie, skip, bait, and switch, and you were off the platform. No warnings, no second chances. Lauren didn't believe in soft landings for liars. Neither did I. By the 3rd week, I caught Tiffany's latest reel. "Build your dream day," it said. Background music swelled like a Disney ad. The video opened with a staircase. My staircase. A 3-day refinishing job I'd done last fall while Lauren was between treatments. Tiffany had slapped her logo over it like she'd held the sander herself. I didn't rage. Didn't blow up. Just commented, "Credit your pros." Within the hour, brides were in the comments asking who did the woodwork. Ray's phone blew up before lunchtime. He called me laughing. "She really thought no one would notice," he said. "It's your finish, man. Ain't no one else leaves the risers that clean." The platform hit 7,200 users by the end of the month. The map started to light up. Not just local traffic anymore. People from neighboring counties were finding it. Word was spreading the old way. Text threads, backyard convos, a neighbor leaning over a fence going, "Hey, there's this thing you should try." One night I got a message from a guy named Hank. Said he was a retired inspector, used to work for the city, offered to verify permits and safety compliance on major jobs for a flat fee. "I'm old and I'm picky," he wrote. "Exactly what you need." I hired him before he finished typing. The next day, Richard texted me a photo of a water bill. Under it he wrote, "Send $400 by Friday." I replied with a screenshot of the attorney's email regarding our pending civil claim. Didn't add a single word. He didn't text back. Later that week, I got an email from a regional hardware chain. Nothing fancy, just a local branch of a Midwest supplier with blue aprons and a bad logo. They asked if we'd consider a modest sponsorship if we featured their tool rental link inside the booking flow. I said, "We'll test it in 2 zip codes. No handshakes, no contracts, no promises, just a test." That Sunday, I dressed the kids and drove them out to the cemetery. We brought Lauren's favorite flowers, tiger lilies. Ben insisted on carrying them himself and got mud on his knees kneeling to fix the ones from last time. The grass was damp but clean, windy but not sharp. I set my hand on the stone, cold, smooth, familiar. "It's working," I told her. I didn't say, "I wish you could see it." I say that every day. It hangs in the air between brushing Nora's hair and packing lunch bags and sorting spam reviews from real ones. She sees it somehow. I believe that. On the way back, we stopped for drive-through fries and Ben spilled his juice box in the back seat. Nora called it grape flood emergency. I turned the radio up just loud enough to drown my thoughts, but not the sound of their voices. At home, I sat down and looked at the site metrics. 47 completed jobs, 83 homeowners waiting to be matched, 17 pros on a waiting list pending background checks and license verification. I called Ray to ask if he knew a second carpenter. He said, "You giving out magic hammers or what?" I said, "Nope, just not screwing people." Later that night, I sat in the dark with my laptop, writing up an onboarding doc for new pros. Nothing long, just 3 rules. 1, be honest. 2, do good work. 3, don't test the third chance. You don't get one. I sent it to Hank to review. He replied, "That third line's going on a t-shirt." We weren't fancy, we weren't funded, but the jobs were getting done, and the trusted badge meant something already. I was sorting reviews and prepping the second onboarding batch when the message came through the platform inbox. Short, shaky, and pissed. LSH referred a landscaper who took my deposit and never came back. I'm a widow. I live on Brookfield. This isn't what you promised. I sat there staring at it, cold rising under my collarbone. I didn't even hesitate. I forwarded it to Hank, grabbed my keys, and texted him. Meet me at 917 Brookfield. Now the woman was named Mrs. Keating. Gray hair pulled tight, voice sharp but cracking like she hated needing help. The yard looked like a jungle with a half-dug flower bed and a torn-up walkway. 300 up front, she said. Said he'd be back Tuesday. That was 2 weeks ago. Hank didn't talk much. He took photos, checked tags on the dumped materials, pulled the platform record and traced the guy's license number. Already expired. He looked at me and shook his head once. I said, "We'll fix it." She looked at me like I was either a liar or stupid. Probably both. "We're putting your job on our schedule," I told her. "Trusted crew. We're covering it. You won't pay a dime." "You run this?" she asked. I nodded. She didn't thank me. She just nodded once, like maybe that meant she didn't have to cry. Back at the office, if you could call 2 folding tables in my living room an office, I posted a video. Me straight on. No background music, no editing. We had a bad actor. We removed him. But that's not enough. LSH will honor what was promised, even if we lose money doing it. Our policy going forward is simple. If a verified pro burns you, and it's on us, we fix it. No questions, no excuses. We make it right. I posted receipts, timestamps, screenshots of the deposit refund from our funds. I expected silence. I got shares. I got comments from strangers saying, "I'm giving this platform a shot, because this is how you handle it." People don't forgive perfect. They forgive honest. While that was spinning up, the mail came. A white envelope with gold trim. Tiffany's name embossed on the back. A launch party invitation for her bridal brand. Children are discouraged. Dress code, elevated evening. Your attendance is appreciated for optics. I stared at it for a solid minute. Then I packed a diaper bag and ironed 2 hand-me-down sweaters. The building was new construction and smelled like jasmine, tile glue, and money I didn't have. Nora asked if we were in a movie theater. Ben said the elevators were too shiny. The whole thing was staged like a Pinterest board exploded. White balloons, champagne towers, one of those walls with fake roses, and a neon sign that said, "Say yes." Tiffany saw me from across the room and blinked like I was a ghost. Richard shook my hand stiffly. "How's your little website?" "It's paying for groceries," I said, looking him dead in the eye. He grunted like that wasn't the answer he wanted. Tiffany gave a speech about family support and building legacy spaces for women to dream, while standing in the exact room where Lauren kept her maternity photos in a plastic shoebox under the bed. Ben was tugging at my pant leg for a juice box when a guy in a blue blazer leaned over and whispered, "You're the guy with the contractor site, right? My mom needs a new roof. She got scammed last year. Can you help her?" I handed him a card. Didn't say a word. Tiffany saw the whole thing. Her face didn't move, but her hand tightened on the mic. At the dessert table, Margaret intercepted me like she was guarding a vault. "We could offer you a loan," she said, too loud. "If you sign something promising to move out of the apartment and stop embarrassing us." I blinked. "Embarrassing? You're parading around like some martyr." "This isn't noble, Adrian. It's childish." I pulled out my phone. Opened the photo of Nora's bunk bed and Lauren's sketches on the shelf. "I'll pay you back for every penny you ever spent on us," I said, once I finished building what Lauren believed in. She laughed. Loud. Sharp. 2 days later, the hardware chain bumped our sponsorship. They offered a 6-month pilot across 12 counties. Nothing life-changing, but enough to hire Margot full-time and give me 4 more hours a week to build instead of chase paperwork. At nap time, I opened my inbox and found a new message flagged urgent. A small venture capital firm in Chicago wanted to invest. The offer came with strings. They wanted exclusive access to all trades relationships developed through LSH. It looked like a lifeline. It smelled like a choke collar. I didn't even reply, just archived it. That night, Donna knocked on our apartment door with a beat-up cardboard box. Casserole dishes inside, each one labeled with a name in Sharpie. She said, "We took up a collection." Not a big thing, just something small. Might be enough for a lease. Inside the box were checks, cash, and an envelope from Tom. First and last month's rent on a space near the bus line. Go see 213 Brighton. I stared at it like it wasn't real. "Donna, I can't." "You already did," she said. "Now just go finish it." The next morning I took the twins to Brighton. The place was narrow and ugly and perfect. Carpet older than my first car. A single flickering light above the window. Ben ran circles around the room and said, "This is our store." Nora climbed the folding chair in the corner and asked if she could bring her stuffed hippo to work. We signed a 12-month lease for $1,050. Margot cried in the parking lot. I pretended it was just dust in my eye. Ben had just fallen asleep under the front desk with a granola bar in his hand when my email pinged again. Subject line, "Feature confirmed." Sunday front page. It was from Caitlin, the local reporter who'd stopped by 2 weeks ago asking about the widow's roof job. She'd come with a notepad and a photographer who used an actual film camera. I figured we'd get a small piece on page 9 if we were lucky. Instead, she ran a headline that read, "The Contractor Dad. One father's promise becomes a platform." She used a photo of me holding Nora on my hip in the office doorway, her arm wrapped around my neck like it was the only place in the world she trusted. Next to it, a scan of one of Lauren's original sketches. The first LSH draft in her handwriting. Simple, honest. By Tuesday, our user base cracked 39,000. 4 counties. My inbox exploded with DMs from homeowners, trades, city groups, you name it. Every contractor who'd ever been stiffed by a GC wanted in. Every homeowner who'd been burned by a scammer wanted a second chance. And with the attention came the vultures. A lead resale company, big, national, the kind that sells cold call lists like candy, sent us a cease and desist. They claimed our trusted badge looked too much like their elite sticker. Hank printed the letter, scribbled all over it in red pen, then drafted a reply that read like a middle finger in legalese. We changed the icon anyway, just to be safe. We swapped the gold check for a blue hammer. Then we added 2 more layers of verification. License, reference, job photo. You mess up, you're done. That Thursday night, I got a voicemail from Richard. "You're profiting off my property," he said, "and that article made it sound like you built all this under my roof." I let it sit. No reply. No reason to. Next morning, Tiffany posted a reel. Before-after shots of a backyard wedding install, tent, lights, stone pavers. Only problem? The lighting plan was mine. I'd drawn it up for a different client a year ago, hand-sketched the angles myself on graph paper. Her reel had no credit. Again. This time I didn't even comment. The comments did it for me. One of the brides she'd ghosted last month chimed in first. "Didn't this guy build your lighting plan?" Another added a screenshot from my site. Tiffany turned off comments by noon. Then came the call from City Hall. I was mid-call with Ray about a bathroom job gone sideways when my cell buzzed again. Unknown number. Local area code. I let it go to voicemail. 2 minutes later, I listened. This is Deborah Kemp, Deputy Director of Community Development. I'd like to speak with someone at LSH about a potential city pilot. Please call me back at this number. I put on my cleanest shirt, still had a ketchup stain on the sleeve from Nora's dinner, and went downtown. The city wanted 5 pilot rehabs on vacant lots, full transparency on budgets, use of local crews only, apprenticeship required on every job site. This isn't just construction, she said. We're trying to give kids a shot. Real work, real experience, Lauren had said that once. Same exact words, sitting on the couch with a heating pad under her back and a sketchbook in her lap. Real work for real people. I nodded. We can build that. We got to work. Ray knew a crew. Cal called a drywall guy with 2 nephews looking for steady work. Margot built the paperwork for city compliance. We submitted the proposal in under 48 hours. They approved all 5 sites. Small admin fee. Bigger win. Credibility. Margot posted the project plan on our dashboard with a title that read, Proof. That weekend, Margaret texted me. Bring the twins for Sunday lunch. We'd like to reconnect. I stared at it for a second. We'll meet in a neutral spot, I wrote back. She replied, You're ungrateful. I typed, I'm busy. Then I put the phone on silent. That same week, Gary, my old boss, sent a formal offer. Subject line, Be practical. Full-time senior associate, health insurance, steady pay. The body of the email ended with, This startup thing is noble, but it's probably just a phase. Let's get you back where you belong. I printed the offer, thumbtacked it to the office corkboard, and labeled the board. Fuel. When the site crashed from traffic 2 days later, Jamal pointed at the paper and said, You want me to send him a screenshot of this error page or what? We laughed. Then we fixed the back end, updated the server, and rebuilt the review feed. On Friday, we passed 82,000 users. No champagne, no announcement, just a cheap pizza, 3 folding chairs, and Ben falling asleep with a slice in his hand and grease on his forehead. The sign had been up for 3 weeks. Nothing flashy, just white vinyl letters on the window. LSH Connect, real work, fair people, simple, honest. So when I got the envelope from the City Office of Preservation and Zoning, I thought maybe it was about permit updates for one of the rehab lots. Nope. Inside was a formal complaint filed against us. Filed by Tiffany. She claimed our signage violated historic district visual harmony and included photos of the window, the logo, and a paragraph she clearly didn't write herself about preserving neighborhood charm. I set the paper down, leaned back, and let out a slow breath. The next morning, a volunteer from the local council called my cell directly. Said his name was Tomas. She's trying to jam you, he said. We all know it. She pulled the same thing when the bike co-op added a chalkboard out front. I asked, Are we in violation? Not even close. Your sign is legal, code 4.3b. You're within size, color, and material limits. She's just making noise. The hearing was public. Small room with scuffed tile floors and a mic that squealed every 10 minutes. I wore my clean shirt again. Still had that damn ketchup stain. Tiffany showed up in a cream pantsuit like she was accepting an award. She brought a folder of photos, quoted from the city code, and argued that our logo disrupted the visual continuity of the block. Then came the public comment section. A woman stood up, blonde hair, tight bun, mid-40s. Said her name was Jeanette. Said LSH helped her replace a broken garage door after 2 contractors ghosted her. Then a guy in paint-splattered boots stood up and said, I was out of work for 6 months until LSH put my number in front of people. I feed my kid with that money now. They just kept coming. 10 of them. Customers, workers, even Hank. When the council voted, it wasn't close. 5-1. We could keep the sign. I walked out without looking back. Tiffany didn't say a word. The funny part? I never mentioned her name. Not once, not in public, not online. Didn't have to. Because while I kept my mouth shut, a wedding vendor forum picked up her habit of borrowing work for her reels. They dragged her themselves. Photographers called her out for uncredited edits. Florists showed timestamps proving their arrangements were used in mock shoots without permission. I didn't comment. I didn't like a single post. I just kept a folder, screenshots, dates, source names, paper first, posts never. Margot called it the vault. Jamal called it insurance. I didn't label it anything, just saved everything to a drive and got back to work. Then, during a late lunch at my desk, half a turkey sandwich, cold coffee, I saw the foreclosure notice in the public records feed. Richard and Margaret's address, default, missed payments, 2 months behind, Tiffany's slow season. I said nothing, just sat there, rereading it until the edges of the screen blurred. Margot looked over her glasses and said, "This is an opportunity." I said, "It's also a trap." She nodded. "That's why we do it clean." We filed paperwork for a new holding company that afternoon. Name, Sunfield Row, LLC. Purpose, investment and rehabilitation of distressed residential properties. Owner, not me, technically. A manager would handle communications. Mail would go through a P.O. box 2 towns over. The first asset we marked for monitoring was Richard and Margaret's house. Not out of spite. Out of a plan I didn't have the words to explain out loud. I called a real estate attorney. Different guy than the eviction lawyer. He talked through process and timing, how to place a quiet bid, how to transfer title cleanly once it hit auction, how to take possession subject to occupants, then offer cash for keys. He asked if I wanted to set up a management layer for anonymity. I said yes. Then I went home. That night, after the twins finished their spaghetti and wiped tomato sauce on the couch cushions, I pulled out the big drawing paper. "Let's draw our house," I said. Ben drew a blue door with a giant T-Rex standing in front of it. Nora drew a tree swing with sparkles that were actually jelly bean-shaped stars. They asked if we could live there someday. I said, maybe. I didn't tell them why my throat locked up. Didn't tell them what house I was thinking of. Didn't tell them that I was about to buy the place someone else once locked us out of. I just taped their drawings to the fridge and got ready for what came next. The rehab pilot wrapped on a gray Tuesday with cheap donuts, lukewarm coffee, and 5 ribbon cuttings in 5 zip codes. Each house came in on budget. Every crew finished on time. Apprentices placed, paperwork filed, no drama. The local paper ran a write-up. 5 families, 5 fixes, 1 platform changing the game. They included a shot of the kids holding clipboards next to Ray and Hank, and stuck Lauren's initials in the bottom corner of the article graphic. Small enough most wouldn't notice, but I did. 18 months in, we passed 121,000 users across 19 counties, verified crews, repeat homeowners, people smiling after inspections, not bracing for lawsuits. That same week, the bank scheduled the sheriff's sale on Richard and Margaret's house. Sunfield Row LLC placed a quiet bid through the lien holder. It wasn't hard. Paperwork, escrow, digital signature, no flag, no noise. The sale went through for less than I expected. I opened the file, and there it was. Deed in Sunfield's name, possession subject to occupants. I hired a property manager, nice guy named Elias. He sent the standard packet, new owner, maintenance contact, offer to assist with relocation, cash for keys if needed. Margaret called the next day. She didn't recognize the number. Didn't recognize my voice either. She screamed about vultures and predators and faceless investment leeches. I listened. Didn't say a word. Then I scheduled a meeting at a family diner on the edge of town. Public place. Adults behave better when there's waitstaff nearby. I brought Ben and Nora. They wanted pancakes. They got crayons and paper placemats and didn't ask why we were meeting Nana and Pop Pop in a booth with cracked leather cushions. Richard looked old. Not frail, just worn. Margaret's lipstick was uneven. Her blouse had a coffee stain near the collar. They both looked like people who'd lived too long on the idea that they'd always be in control. Richard opened with money talk, said they were open to negotiating terms. Margaret said, We just need a little more time. A few more months. Until Tiffany's business stabilizes, then Tiffany arrived. Late, dragging a designer purse that didn't match her shoes. No makeup, no camera. She looked at me, then at the twins, then back again. "Can you talk to the new landlord?" she asked, voice soft. "Explain what this place means to us?" I looked at my kids, still coloring, still not listening. Then I looked at her and said, "We already are." I reached into my bag and slid a letter across the table. Sunfield Row LLC is now the legal owner of 447 Briar Lane. Margaret read it twice. Richard's mouth opened, then shut. Tiffany didn't speak. "I paid less than what you would have gotten if you treated me like family instead of a squatter," I said. "But I'm not here to gloat." I opened a second folder and placed it gently on the table. Maplecross Assisted Living. Clean. Quiet. Paid for 8 months up front through Sunfield as relocation support. Move-in date is flexible. Margaret's hands trembled when she picked up the brochure. She didn't cry. Tiffany cleared her throat. "And me?" I kept my voice level. "Your lease for the studio was never a lease. It was a favor. You can pick up your dresses Saturday. Locks change Monday." She blinked like she couldn't process it. "But where am I supposed to—" "That's not my business," I said. Richard leaned forward, reached across the table. His hand hovered near mine. "Adrian," he said, soft. This wasn't how things were supposed to go." I pulled my hand back. "You had a chance to open a door once," I said. "You chose a chain." Ben dropped his crayon. Nora asked if she could have whipped cream on her pancake. I paid the bill and walked them out while Richard and Margaret sat silent in a booth that wasn't theirs anymore. And for the first time since Lauren's funeral, the weight on my chest felt like it wasn't mine to carry anymore. 3 years after Lauren's funeral, word got around fast but not loud. No front-page headlines, no parades, just a clean process. The property manager handled the move-out. Keys in an envelope. Curtains folded, not torn. No confrontation, no cameras. I kept the twins on their routine. School drop-offs, lunch boxes, bedtime stories like clockwork. Margaret called Maplecross home now. She left 2 voicemails. The first was half an apology wrapped in a history lesson about how they were only trying to protect what was theirs. The second message had no words, just breathing, then sobbing, then the beep. I didn't call back. I didn't hate her, but I wasn't there to fix her. Tiffany posted a story 2 weeks later, a single slide, starting over. 1 step at a time, no hashtags, no tears, just softer than usual. I sent her a text with a list of 5 storefronts that take month-to-month leases. One was across from the laundromat where I used to sketch permit layouts on napkins. She never replied. The house took 2 weeks to prep. We kept the bones. Original wood, crown molding, the crack in the hallway tile Lauren always tripped on. Fresh paint, safe steps, decent lighting. I stood in the upstairs hallway one night with the windows open and the air still, remembering how quiet we used to tiptoe during nap time. I was holding the listing paperwork, and I couldn't do it. I called Elias and told him to pull the listing. "Convert it," I said, "not a sale." It's the LSH field office now. Dining room became the training space. Garage turned into a tool library. Donated drills, ladders, voltage testers with frayed cords. We rewired ourselves. Hank set up shop at the kitchen table and taught apprentices how to read permits without getting scammed. Ray walked them through how to hang a door that wouldn't scrape in summer heat. We framed Lauren's first LSH sketch in the front room, where the light came in strongest after lunch. By year 3, we crossed 410,000 users. 4 states, slow expansion. We were brutal about who we let in, meaner about who we kicked out. I didn't care about pretty profiles. I cared about clean work and real results. Donna and Tom came to the ribbon cutting. Donna wore lipstick for the first time in a year and carried a thermos of coffee with both hands like it was armor. When I gave her the plaque, "When we needed a door, you opened one," she covered her mouth and turned away. Tom just said, She's proud of you. That's all. On a Saturday in May, I took Ben and Nora to the paint store. We let them pick. They chose the loudest, brightest, most ridiculous blue on the wall. The clerk laughed when I said, "Yeah, that one." We painted the front door together. Nora got it in her hair. Ben tracked a footprint onto the driveway. We ate pizza on the porch steps and let it dry in the sun. A neighbor walked by with a stroller and said, "Looks better on you." I just nodded. No speeches. Just work. That night, after pajamas and brushing teeth and a meltdown over the wrong storybook, I tucked them in. Ben asked, "Why'd we paint the door blue?" I said, "Because it's ours now." Nora whispered, "Did Mommy see it?" I kissed her forehead. Everything good here started with her. Later, when the lights were off, and the only sound in the house was the hum of the fridge and the soft breaths of 2 sleeping kids, I sat alone in the living room. The quiet didn't hurt anymore. It felt earned. I didn't win big. I didn't get rich. But I won back our home, our name, and the story of who we are. That was enough. If you were in my shoes, would you have taken the house back after what my in-laws did, or walked away for peace? Drop your answer in the comments. Even just good story or your own take supports the channel. And if you'd like to go further, tap Super Thanks. It's optional, but really helps us keep going. Most important, please like and subscribe. Huge for us. Simple for you.
YouTube picked this for you. Tap it. Let's see if they guessed right.